So in 2014, I discovered Amazon publishing, and basically we published books on Amazon. At the time it was digital books, and then later on it was paperbacks and audiobooks as well. But 2014 was when I discovered it, so that's like 10 years ago now. And so I was a welder at the time as well, and I discovered this business model. And then I saw a course, so I took this course. I can't remember what it was called, but it was something about Kindle publishing. And bear in mind, like, I'm a welder, right? Like, I don't know anything about like online stuff, or very, very little. I think I had a blog at the time, and I was just trying to make some money so I could not be a welder anymore. And so I discovered it. I took this course, and went through everything. Obviously everything was just like a massive learning curve for me. And anyway, so long story short, I went through it all, and then I decided, right, I'm going to publish 2 books. For my first time, I'm going to just do 2 books. So I did these 2 books, published them, learn how to get someone else to write them, like ghostwriters and stuff like that, and then had someone on Fiverr. They would make the book covers and all this thing, and I learned about keywords and all this kind of stuff. And so I published those 2 books, and at the time I was so busy sort of doing the whole, like, the actual learning how to do it, in like working in the business, or it wasn't a business at the time, that I didn't even bother like checking sales or anything like that for at least the first like month or so. And anyway, so I just published those 2 books, and I thought, I'm going to publish another 2, and then another 2, and I did that. And then I remember that I did look at the analytics, and I could see that, wow, there's actually some sales here. And there was actually, like, I'd made some sales, and I thought, I can't believe this. I actually made some money like online. That's crazy. So I that just gave me like such a huge burst of motivation. And so I thought, all right, let's maybe, what if I had this many books? What if I had this many books? And so that's what I started to get in my head. I started to think, right, I could really sort of do some damage here. And so that's what I started doing. So I started to just slowly ramp it up and get some more books and more books. And so I had a team of writers. So I was hiring people on Upwork to do writing, and then I had a book cover person on Fiverr. And so I just started scaling that up. And like, I was working my job as a welder at the time, and it was just a flat out time. Like, I was seriously so busy, working through the day, going to the gym in the afternoons, and then in early mornings and nights and weekends I was doing this stuff. Like, even though I wasn't writing the books, I still had to put everything together, that come up with the niche, the titles, and it was still tons and tons of work. So so I did that. And then at like, I think at its peak, I was publishing like 3 to 5 books per week for a big sort of long period of time. And then before you know it, there was like 200 books that I had published that were live. And that was probably over around about a 13-month period from start to finish. And I kept publishing, but I just sort of started slowing it down, because I was investing so much money into it, like a lot of money back into it every single week. And that is actually what got me out of my job as being a welder. Which was my goal all along. It was a lifelong dream, really. I'd been a welder for like almost 12 years. And and that's it. That's how I did it. I basically just scaled it up with all outsourced people. So I had virtual assistants as well, like helping me do the actual publishing, like going on to the Amazon platform and doing all the thing and all the stuff you had to do, and writing out the titles, tags and keywords and all this kind of stuff. And that's actually sort of how I did it, and just sort of had these ghostwriters and people doing all these bits and pieces, and I was kind of just managing it. And yeah, and then eventually got it up to those 200 sort of book titles. And look, the first 50 or so books, they were not great books. Okay, they were very short, crappy looking covers. The writing, there would have been errors and spelling mistakes, and I didn't know how to do editing properly. And so those first 50 were no good. And there was a couple of good ones that, started making the majority of the money. So like that whole 80-20 rule absolutely applied. And yeah, and that's sort of how that whole journey went. And then, I probably had, by the end of it, I guess probably maybe 250 titles or so. And then obviously expanded that with paperbacks and audiobooks as well. So, and yeah, that got me out of my job, got me to, just that first stage of entrepreneurship, I guess you could call it. And yeah, absolutely life-changing sort of business model for me at the time. Now I don't do it anymore. I still make some money from it, but I don't do it, and which is crazy actually to think about. It's like 10 years ago that I made a lot of those books, and still making money from them now. So it's pretty amazing. So yeah, that's my story on the whole Amazon publishing scene. I know it's a big thing still now. Like people are really, I see courses out there all the time, people doing it, so it must still be a pretty cool way to make money. But yeah, that's my story. If you want to follow along with the rest of my entrepreneurial journey, like and subscribe. Cheers.